So welcome back to another episode of Midlifers. Our friends from Lomo, they've sent us this Instant Automat Glass to review. This has been an incredibly difficult review for us. I think this is the third time we're actually shooting this, and I hope this will be the final time, right Ian? Yeah, huh? Yeah, so I hope this review will cover all you need to know about this camera. But before I go into the review itself, let's go through a quick unboxing and how to use the camera. Alright, so let's do a quick unboxing of this camera. It comes in this beautiful box. Unfortunately, the box we received came a little bit dinged up. Inside the box, you'll see a few things. You have the camera, of course, and then you have two boxes with a few goodies inside. The camera also comes with 3 sets of filters. 2 of them are actually creative filters. One is actually like a lens cap that has some Bluetooth function built in. Alright, so let me cover everything in a little bit more detail. So the 2 boxes of goodies, they contain a few things. The first box, it contains like these replicas of Instax mini film. They have some images that were taken using this camera, and they have the settings that were used. So if you have any similar images that you wish to take, or there's certain creative effects you want to partake in, then you can just look at the techniques used, and that should help you use this camera a bit better. So I'm going to put this aside. The other box, it comes with like these special paper holders that you can put the photos that you really like. It also comes with a few clips. So if you like to put your Instax Mini on hang it over a cord or something, you can use these clips as well. And of course, this box also contained this creative filter gels that you would actually slot into the camera at the flash there. So I'm just going to put this aside. So the camera itself, it comes with a lens cap under the box. Okay, so this lens cover, it also has this Bluetooth function where you can activate the shutter in both automatic and bulb modes using Bluetooth. The camera also comes with a close-up lens, so you can do some macro images. You can take images up to about 10 cm away from the lens. It also has this splitzer, so if you love to do like double exposures using splitzers or multiple exposures, you can use this splitzer on top of the lens. The camera being special, it has this artist collaboration. So this camera itself was collaborated with Emma Ichikawa. She's a Japanese artist. So it has this booklet with a little bit about her and her art that she does. So if you're a fan of her, or if you are a friend of her and you wish to support Lomo and their collaboration with these artists, then of course you can consider getting this special colorway just to support the artist as well as Lomo in their artist collaboration. So now we have the camera itself. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on how to use it and how this camera functions. So before we review the camera, let me just go through how to use it. It's quite a simple camera. If you use instant cameras before, you won't really have any problem using this camera. This camera, it takes 2 CR2 batteries. So let's load them up into the camera itself. The battery door is here. You just pull it down, and then you insert the batteries. I believe it goes in negative on top, positive at the bottom. Okay, then you just slide it back and close it. To load the film, it's quite simple. It's just like any other Instax camera. You just open the film door, open it fully, then you'll see a yellow tab here. Just insert the film such that it faces the yellow tab. I'm using an empty cartridge so that it's a bit easier for you to understand what's going on and we don't waste any film. To switch on the camera, it's quite simple. So on the lens element, you'll notice there's an off button and a few focus distances. So as long as you switch to any of these focus distances, the camera will switch on. And if you want to switch it off, all you have to do is you have to just go back all the way, but you'll notice there'll be some resistance. So there's actually a button here so that you can completely switch it off, and that will switch off the camera. Okay. To take photos, what you do is very simple. Of course, you eject the dark slide first. You switch it to the correct focus mode. So currently I'm at 1 meter to infinity. This is the shutter button. So you just have to press that. So I'm going to press it now. And I've taken 1 image. So that's how easy it is to use. To frame your image, you will use the viewfinder located here. Personally, I noticed the viewfinder tends to be a bit narrower than the field of view. So you can actually go a bit closer than you can actually see through the viewfinder and frame your images. This camera, it has a few features built in, so I'm just going to cover them as well. So other than the 0.6 mode and the 0.3 mode for close-up images, you can also actually place in like filtered gels on the camera flash element. Ours unfortunately came damaged, so we're unable to do that. But you just slot it over and you can take images with colored flashes. You can also use the creative filters, okay? When you screw on the creative filter, just make sure you're careful and you don't cross thread. To use the close-up element, just take note, the manual recommends that you switch the focus distance to 0.6. I tried it at 0.3, I didn't really have any issues. So as long as you stay between 0.6 and 0.3, I think your images will be all right in close-up mode. The camera, whenever it's switched on, it goes into automatic flash mode. So if you want to switch it off, just make sure you press on this first button and it will off the flash. You'll have to do this every time you switch off the camera as it resets. If you want to take multiple exposures, of course you can press the MX button. MX stands for multiple exposure. The problem with the multiple exposure is you can take an indefinite amount of shots. So I'm going to take a few shots. So I've taken 5 images without flash. And once you're done taking the image and you wish to eject the film, all you have to do is press the MX button again, and that will eject the film. Currently, I have an empty cartridge inside, so nothing has been ejected. Say if the image comes out a little bit too dark or a bit too light, then of course it'd be good to use exposure compensation, which is present on this dial. All you have to do is press once to overexpose a little bit and press another time if you want to underexpose. If you wish to take like long exposures and you want to use the bulk mode, then of course you can just press this button here and you can switch between automatic and bulk mode. Okay, I'm just going to switch off the exposure compensation again. Whenever you take an image, the LED lights here will light up. I'm going to take one image now. You'll notice that once the film has so-called ejected, one of the LEDs disappear. So this keeps happening and it gives you an idea of how many film shots are left on this camera. The camera itself has like the light meters and all that features up here. So just make sure whenever you use the camera, you don't accidentally cover this. So especially in landscape mode, that may happen. This may result in overexposed images. Other than that, I think most people love the colorway that it comes in. This is kind of unique to Lomo cameras. They always have these artist collaboration. Just like any other camera, it also has a tripod socket at the bottom. So you can mount this on a tripod and use it. One thing to note when you use the tripod socket is that you will not be able, if your film plate is flush with the camera, you won't be able to open the door fully. So you may need a tripod extender or a very small film plate, or you may need to remove the camera from the film plate each time you want to reload the pack of film. That's the quick how-to on using this camera. Let's go on to the rest of the review. Okay, so something interesting on all our testing is that we noticed that there are like 2 aperture modes. There appears to be the f4.5, which is as advertised. There also appears to be a smaller aperture, which I suspect to be probably f22. I think it probably is there so that the camera can take a whole host of images at different light values. So I'm just going to quickly show it. Okay, you should be able to see the aperture at 4.5. It should look very large. And I'm going to press the shutter again. I think that should be f22. So you can see it's a much smaller aperture right here. These are the 2 aperture modes that this camera has. I think that's how it compensates for the different light values, even though its shutter speeds are not full set of range, you know. Alright, so we're back in our little testing area. We're gonna do the usual. We have a uniform light, we have mounted the camera, and now we're gonna shoot this sharpness target test. After that we'll do a barrel distortion test and see what are the results. Of all the cameras I've used so far, this has one of the least amount of distortion that I've noticed. There's a slight bit of barrel distortion. We'll show a close-up of this image in a short while. We did the sharpness target test, and for a glass lens, needless to say, it is very sharp. It's as sharp as it has to be. I would probably think it's very close to like the SX70 cameras. Okay, so I think the problem with this camera we've experienced is that, of course, we've taken this shoot like 3 times, is that we're biased. We're biased for Lomo. We love Lomo as a company. They've done so much for the community and the film scene in general. I think they've created a lot of cameras. They released the recent 110 camera. Personally, I've even bought their stuff. So I'm going to just show you. I'm going to dig up. Recently, I got the Lomomatic 110 for my wife. Previously, I used to shoot on their reloadable cameras. I've been a proponent or supporter of Lomo for very long. That's why I think this review has been so difficult, because I feel like this isn't the camera for us. Before I go into that, maybe I'll just cover the things I really loved about this camera. So this camera, it takes Instax mini film, such as this. This is the most affordable instant film you can find in the market. So I think those who are a bit more cost conscious, you will love this camera. This camera also purports to have a 4.5 wide angle 21mm glass lens. So the images are super sharp. It's undeniable that these images are one of the sharpest we've gotten from an Instax camera such as this. This camera, as you saw from the unboxing, comes with a few things, a few goodies, a few creative filters, a few creative gels, and I think this is amazing. I think every camera maker should include such accessories within the camera itself, and this helps consumers because you don't have to willy-nilly buy other things, and I don't think it costs the manufacturers too much to include simple plastic accessories inside the camera. I do love the colorway, the artist inspiration. Emma Ichikawa, you're a fantastic artist. I love this colorway. And I love the fact that Lomo collaborates with other artists in the scene, especially up-and-coming artists who may not have the chance to actually like showcase their work, let alone showcase on a camera maker such as Lomography. With all these things, it's kind of hard, to actually say anything bad, but I think I gotta be truthful to our audience. Lomo, you've done a great job with cameras, and this camera is don't get me wrong, this camera is an okay camera. As in, you will enjoy shooting it, it will have the quirks of any instant camera, and it will have the chaos that's usually associated with Lomo cameras. There's this interplay of chaos that Lomo prides itself in, and that actually is seen in this camera as well. So the problem I have with this camera is that this camera is about 6 years old. So I can't in good conscience actually recommend this camera because there are other cameras in the market that actually rival or compete with it on equal footing. This camera, of course, purports to have like a glass lens that's super wide. Some of you may actually find a lot of difficulty. Personally, I'm not a fan of the 21mm look, let alone like 28mm. So I personally prefer a much narrower field of view. The viewfinder isn't exactly accurate to the lens either. So you'll notice that even though when you think you frame the full image, you can actually go in even closer and then you can take the image, and that should fill the frame of the Instax mini film a little bit better. The camera itself, it does have a flash, but the build quality is a bit questionable because the camera that we received came a little bit dinged up. So we weren't able to slot in the creative gel filters onto the flash. Another thing we noticed on our extensive testing, and I mean extensive testing, all this film were taken by us. Lomography, they sent us 2 packs of film to test, but I think I've burned like 6 packs of my own just to shoot all these images. So yeah, the flash is a bit center weighted. That means that if let's say you're taking a Wi-Fi or selfie with a few friends, you'll notice that the person in the center will be blown out and the people at the corners will actually look a bit darker. This is something I think maybe Lomo you need to work on. Perhaps this camera itself was not really designed to have this flash. It might have been used from their cheaper alternative, the non-glass version. Another thing I noticed is the mirror is here. Because the mirror is here and since it's a wide angle lens, it's actually quite useful to take selfies easily. But because you'll be covering the shutter, it might be a bit hard to frame yourself. One thing Ian pointed out is that though the film inside the camera is located in a portrait mode, this mirror is actually in a horizontal mode. So if this shutter button had been positioned 90° to one angle like the film itself, I think it would make it easier for you to frame the whole image a little bit better. Other than that, I think for us, we did notice that sometimes because of the 4.5 aperture stop, we did have difficulty maybe nailing focus. I think this could be due to the light value in the region or area that we were taking the images. Another thing I'm not really a fan of is actually the press to off the camera. I wish you could just off directly because there's a fair bit of resistance here, so the camera shouldn't switch on or off so easily. I love the fact that they did come with like user replaceable battery CR2. So I do applaud Lomo for that. But I did notice that the batteries are of course a bit more expensive and a bit harder to find. The camera has this automatic flash on mode every time you switch it off. I personally don't like that. I prefer if you could have a manual switch and toggle flash off permanently because I don't like the flash look. Multiple exposure is a little bit wonky as well, as you can take like an indefinite amount of images. I think the amount of images I've taken is like 30 and it still continues to go on. So I think technically you could overexpose an image completely. Exposure compensation works as it should. Bluetooth mode is perfect for this camera. One thing to note is you can put this camera on a tripod and you can use the external shutter on the lens cap to activate the camera on Bluetooth, bulb mode, and that will help you to take images without any camera shake. So I think that's something amazing that's very unique to this camera, and maybe other camera makers like Fujifilm should copy. It is great that the camera comes with like these creative filters like the close-up lens. But when you take close-up photography, I think Lomo, you should enable a close-up mode at the back so it artificially forces the aperture to f/22. Because taking close-up images with an f/4.5 lens is going to be incredibly difficult. Your depth of field is going to be so razor thin narrow that most of your images won't come out well. This camera, unfortunately, is about 6 years old now. Therefore, I think some of the other alternatives, perhaps the Instax Mini 99, are things you should consider before buying this because they're roughly in the same price range. But if you want a glass lens that is wide and you can get used to that look, then this is a camera you should consider. Personally, if you ask me whether this is the camera for me, it's not. Okay, I don't enjoy such a wide angle lens. But if your photography on other analog mediums involve a wide angle lens such as a 28mm or even a 21mm, then I think you will love this camera. If you want to take images in dark areas with its f/4.5 lens, you will definitely love this camera. Personally, if you ask me, I would recommend you getting the more affordable alternative. Get the non-glass version. It has a narrower focal length on the lens, which is a bit more standard. Most of you will find it easier to use. It has a smaller aperture, I think 12 or something. That will make taking macro images a lot easier as well. And the more affordable alternative actually has a wide lens and a fisheye lens. So if you love to do creative effects, that camera might be a little bit suited for you. So Lomo, thank you for lending us this camera. We hope to see more cameras sent our way because we love testing them out. I hope in the next iteration of this camera, there'll be some internal improvements as well. If you love this episode, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode of Midlifers.